What's up, guys? I'm DK, and you're watching Pro Wrestling What If, the series where I look at the different what if scenarios as terms of the world that we call professional wrestling. The Ruthless Aggression era was a pivotal time for the WWE as they needed to find their next big stars since Stone Cold Steve Austin and The Rock were finishing up. They gave Brock Lesnar a big push in 2002, even having him become the youngest WWE champion in history, but he would end up leaving the WWE after WrestleMania 20. 2004 would be a year where they experimented with superstars like Chris Benoit, Eddie Guerrero, and even Randy Orton to potentially be the next face of the WWE. However, as we got into 2005, WWE had their sights set on John Cena to become the next face of the WWE, having him win the WWE Championship from JBL at WrestleMania 21. After finishing his feud with JBL at Judgment Day 2005, John Cena would be sent to Monday Night Raw as the very first pick of the 2005 draft. He would go on to have feuds with the likes of Chris Jericho, Kurt Angle, and even Triple H in the main event of WrestleMania 22. However, many of us have wondered the past 20 plus years now of what John Cena's career would have been like had he not switched places with Batista and remained the face of the SmackDown brand in 2005. So that's going to be the topic of today's video. We're discussing what if John Cena didn't get drafted to Raw in 2005. In case you were wondering about Batista when it comes to this topic, he will have a separate video releasing next week on the channel. When it comes to this video, I will be only mentioning about the SmackDown side of things since John Cena is on the brand in this timeline. So for those that want to know what Chris Jericho would be doing at SummerSlam if he's not facing John Cena, you will have to tune in for that Batista episode where I discuss the Raw side of things. And if you end up enjoying this video, don't forget to hit that like button, share this to all your friends, subscribe, and press the notification bell for when future episodes get released, and leave a comment down below about today's topic or suggesting a future topic for an episode of Pro Wrestling What If. So we're going to kick off with the first pay-per-view for SmackDown being the Great American Bash, where I think John Cena would be defending the WWE Championship against Orlando Jordan. In the real timeline, JBL was still in the World Championship scene at Great American Bash due to Batista bringing the World Heavyweight Championship to the brand. With John Cena staying on SmackDown, I highly doubt we would have had a third match between John Cena and JBL after having an I Quit match at the Judgment Day pay-per-view. Already the Raw brand had the Batista Triple H feud go 3 straight pay-per-views with WrestleMania 21, Backlash, and Vengeance. To have the SmackDown brand also have that long of a feud for its main event scene would have been too much. So JBL in this timeline would have probably been taking Orlando Jordan's place and facing Chris Benoit at the Great American Bash instead of getting another World Championship match. Although Orlando Jordan was the United States champion at this point, there's a couple of reasons why a feud with John Cena here would make sense. First would be to try and bring the WWE Championship to the cabinet, since JBL at this point would not be able to challenge for the title again as long as John Cena was holding it. Secondly, it would have been based off the fact that John Cena was the one who Orlando Jordan had won the United States Championship from. So now this rivalry could reignite with Orlando Jordan thinking he could also take the WWE Championship from John Cena as well. However, I do see JBL interfering during this match at some point and accidentally cost Orlando Jordan the match, resulting in John Cena retaining the WWE Championship and defending at the biggest party of the summer being SummerSlam. Speaking of that, the next pay-per-view being SummerSlam, I think John Cena would be defending the WWE Championship against Christian. When John Cena got drafted to Raw, his first rivalry was with Christian that would result in a triple threat match with Chris Jericho at Vengeance. With John Cena staying on SmackDown and Christian getting drafted to the SmackDown brand, this rivalry would be able to happen in a singles environment. This time, due to how lackluster the SmackDown roster was compared to Raw in 2005, that it would force WWE to make some top heels for John Cena to defend the WWE Championship against. Christian would be able to prove that he can be a top heel without having to insert anyone else like he would end up doing with Randy Orton in 2011. Although we know for sure that John Cena would be retaining the WWE Championship during this match, it would change the trajectory of Christian's career. Having Christian being given the chance to prove himself would result in him re-signing with WWE later that year, as he discussed in an interview with Chris Van Vliet, meaning that Christian wouldn't have ended up signing with TNA and have multiple reigns as the NWA World Heavyweight Champion. The next SmackDown exclusive pay-per-view was No Mercy, in which I think John Cena would defend the WWE Championship against Eddie Guerrero. Now, in the real timeline, Eddie Guerrero had challenged Batista for the World Heavyweight Championship at this very event. Eddie Guerrero was already one of the top heels of SmackDown with his feud with Rey Mysterio, so you knew at some point he'd be challenging for a world title. This would end up reigniting the rivalry they had in 2003 over the United States Championship that included a parking lot brawl. However, roles would be reversed this time around, with Guerrero as a heel and Cena as a babyface. John Cena and Eddie Guerrero have had multiple televised singles matches against each other, but this match would have ended up being the first at a pay-per-view in which I think John Cena would have retained at the event, just like Batista did, solidifying John Cena as the face of the SmackDown brand by defeating one of the absolute best to do it, leading to Eddie Guerrero starting to transition into a babyface once again and be a part of Team SmackDown for Survivor Series, at least until unfortunate circumstances would occur. Taboo Tuesday. Now, Taboo Tuesday was a Raw exclusive pay-per-view, but WWE had begun building the Raw vs. SmackDown match for Survivor Series 2005 that began on the October 3rd, 2005 episode of Raw titled WWE Homecoming. One of the matches scheduled for the event was going to be Stone Cold Steve Austin against Jonathan Coachman, with the fans' choices being an arm wrestling match, a verbal debate, or a street fight to choose from. However, closer to the event, Stone Cold Steve Austin had pulled out of the show and was replaced by SmackDown's Batista for the event. So in my mind, since John Cena's on SmackDown in this timeline, he would be in this role of facing and defeating Jonathan Coachman in what fans voted to be a street fight at Taboo Tuesday. Survivor Series, I think John Cena would be a part of Team SmackDown going up against Team Raw in the 5-on-5 Survivor Series elimination tag team match. SmackDown's World Championship wasn't defended on this show, while Raw's World Championship was. I think part of that had to do with the fact that at that time, SmackDown's roster was so lackluster that they weren't able to have options to challenge for it. Unfortunately, Eddie Guerrero had passed away just before this event had happened, but even then, he had already qualified to be on Team SmackDown for the event by defeating Mr. Kennedy. So it's pretty much the same teams as we had in the real timeline, but a couple of changes, including John Cena on Team SmackDown, since Batista would be on Raw here and defending the World Heavyweight Championship during the event. The same result occurs with Team SmackDown winning, and with Randy Orton having replaced Eddie Guerrero, this means we still get that awesome return of The Undertaker at the end of the show. Armageddon 2005. On the SmackDown side of things during this time, Batista was teaming up with Rey Mysterio as the tag team champions, going up against Kane and Big Show, who are the World Tag Team Champions over on the Raw brand. In this timeline, I don't think John Cena and Rey Mysterio would be teaming, but would actually go up against each other for the WWE Championship at this event. After the passing of Eddie Guerrero, Rey Mysterio has his sights on winning his first World Championship in honor of Eddie Guerrero, something that we saw in the real timeline, but it starts a little earlier here. Unfortunately, Rey Mysterio doesn't get to achieve that goal just yet, as Mark Henry would make his return to WWE and attack both competitors, resulting in a double disqualification, but luckily that this match doesn't end up main eventing, as that would go to the Hell in a Cell match between Randy Orton and Undertaker, the culmination of a feud that's been going on throughout the majority of 2005, with their first match having taken place at WrestleMania 21. Shoutout goes to Jackson Weingart, Jada Sanchez, Fox Starkiller, Lola Pines, Hayden Saravo, Mr. Randomizer, Harry Dynamite Storm, Skolchin, Spidey Fan Productions 2003, and Wesley Conklin. And the reason that they ended up getting a shout out is because they joined our YouTube channel membership, which only cost $1.99 a month. Not only do you get the shout out, but you do get lots of other perks, including early access to every single video and shorts that we produce on this channel. So definitely consider joining our YouTube channel membership. It will be greatly appreciated and it will go a long way of helping out this channel a lot. So definitely consider it, but let's get right back to the video. Royal Rumble 2006. After Mark Henry's return at Armageddon, which was a few weeks earlier than the actual return, he would defeat Rey Mysterio in a match to challenge John Cena for the WWE Championship at Royal Rumble. In the real timeline, Mark Henry would be originally set to challenge Batista for the World Heavyweight Championship. However, during a match against Mark Henry on a house show, Batista would suffer a torn tricep injury and would be forced to vacate the title, leading to a battle royal on SmackDown to determine a new champion, which was won by Kurt Angle, who then became Mark Henry's opponent for the event. Now, I don't think John Cena would also suffer an injury while working with Mark Henry, considering that it could have been a completely different match to prevent that from happening. So I'm going to play it safe and say we still get this match for Royal Rumble, but it won't end in a definitive finish as it ends in a double countout to protect both men. While this time around, the Royal Rumble gets the main event slot where the crowd is sent home happy, witnessing Rey Mysterio overcome the odds and win the Royal Rumble match to get a title match at WrestleMania 22. No Way Out 2006. After what had happened at Royal Rumble, Mark Henry and John Cena would once again face each other for the WWE Championship. To make sure there is a definitive finish this time around, this match would be held inside of a steel cage. Although it's obvious that John Cena would be retaining the championship, you're probably wondering what The Undertaker would be doing in this timeline, as he had faced Kurt Angle for the World Heavyweight Championship in the real timeline at this event. The way that the match was set up was having Undertaker make his return after the World Heavyweight Championship main event at Royal Rumble, and confronting Kurt Angle using his supernatural abilities. However, with the actual Royal Rumble match being the main event in this timeline, that moment would not happen, and thus not setting up Undertaker to challenge John Cena for the WWE Championship in this case. Undertaker around this time would usually take a hiatus in order to heal nagging injuries so he can compete at WrestleMania and defend the streak. So for No Way Out, Undertaker would not be competing at this event and would return after the event to set up his WrestleMania match. Although it would have been nice to see Undertaker challenge for the WWE Championship here, it's been noted that Undertaker had always challenged for the World Heavyweight Championship during this time. This is due to the fact that it wouldn't have made sense for his gimmick to challenge for a championship that looked more like a toy, as the spinner variation of the WWE Championship had been created already in 2005. Last but not least, WrestleMania 22, where I think John Cena would be defending the WWE Championship against Randy Orton. Now I know what you're thinking, where's Rey Mysterio in this scenario since he had won the Royal Rumble match? Shouldn't have been a triple threat match like in the real timeline? Rey Mysterio here is actually going to be challenging for the World Heavyweight Championship that's on the Raw brand in this timeline. So once again, you'll have to tune into the Batista episode to find out more about that. The original plans for WrestleMania 22 was to put Randy Orton and Batista in a World Championship singles match until both Eddie Guerrero's passing and Batista's tricep injury had prevented that from happening. With John Cena being pushed as the face of the company, I don't think the triple threat match scenario would have happened here in order to protect him. Plus, just like I mentioned, original plans had a singles match, and I think WWE would have wanted a Cena-Orton match as the main event for WrestleMania 22 in this timeline. John Cena would go on to retain the WWE Championship in this match, as Randy Orton would soon serve a 60-day suspension for unprofessional conduct. Not only that, I think WWE would have had a full-blown draft for 2006 instead of just Kurt Angle and RVD going to ECW, and would have had John Cena get drafted to Raw and bring the WWE Championship to the brand with him. After all, if John Cena wasn't going to Raw in 2005, they probably would have had him go to the flagship show when it comes to 2006.